The yelling was loud, real loud. It wasn't just a little yelp, it was a full-on, crazy-sounding scream of pure anger and like, "What the heck?" It cut through the quiet morning air, messing up the peace and quiet. I was sitting on my back porch drinking coffee that wasn't exactly hot anymore, and that sound, it was awesome. Out on the little bit of grass next to my driveway, the part that, according to all the paperwork and markers, was definitely my yard, sat Karen's big, shiny SUV. But it wasn't just sitting there. It was stuck, covered from the wheels all the way up to the doors in this thick, gooey, greenish-brown stuff. And already, with the sun warming things up, tiny little green things were starting to poke out of it, like little fingers trying to grab onto the metal. Karen herself was freaking out next to the driver's door. She was waving her arms around, stomping her feet and yelling into her super expensive phone. Her face, which usually looked all calm and like she was better than everyone, was totally twisted up with anger, red in the face, eyes bugging out. She yanked on the door handle, hard enough to shake her own house across the street, but the door wouldn't open. It was glued shut by the stuff, which was drying fast and sticking like crazy. She pulled again, even harder, her face all scrunched up, but the SUV stayed put, stuck tight to the ground. I let out a quiet little laugh. Yeah, it worked. It worked even better than I thought it would. The living car trap did its job. But this moment, with the car stuck and the sprouts coming up, feeling really good about it all, wasn't just something I thought up overnight. It happened because of months of things getting worse, her ignoring me, and the kind of stuck-up attitude that only someone like Karen has. To get why this was so great, you gotta know what led up to it. My place is nothing special. Just a small house on a corner lot. It's not some huge place, but it's my spot. The property line is clear, goes straight from the sidewalk back to the fence, right next to my paved driveway. That little 10-foot strip of grass between my driveway and the sidewalk? Mine. There are official markers in the ground, it's on the town maps, and my deed says so. It was a small piece of land, not a big deal really, but it was mine. Then Karen moved in. Karen, with her perfect lawn, her perfect hair, her perfect online life, and her perfectly huge sense of thinking she could do whatever she wanted. She bought the really big house across the street, a place that just screamed rich. And pretty much right away, she started using my little bit of grass like it was extra parking for her. It started small. One tire over the line when she had workers over. Then half the car when she got a delivery. Soon, it got worse. When her bridge group came over, 3 SUVs would have tires on my grass. When she hosted her book club, the whole strip would be full. It wasn't just once in a while, it was all the time. Her own huge driveway, which could fit 6 cars easy, was often half empty while my small piece of grass had her or her friends parked on it. It wasn't just annoying, though it totally was. Her cars made it hard to see when I was backing out of my driveway, which was actually dangerous. They killed the grass, leaving ugly dead spots where I actually tried to keep things looking nice. But more than all that, it was just how unbelievably rude she was about it. She was taking my property, using it like it was hers, like she just didn't care, like she was saying, "What I want is way more important than you owning this little bit of land." She acted like my owning it was just some weird little thing. And me. Getting upset was just me being cute but not serious. She was used to getting her way, used to rules not applying to her because she just expected them not to. Her attitude was always getting on my nerves. That's when I stopped thinking about asking nicely and started thinking about making things happen that she couldn't just ignore. Stuff that wasn't against the law but would be a huge pain for her, expensive and maybe, a little bit funny in a messed up way. I wanted something that would make her feel that line she kept pretending wasn't there, something that would stick to her stuck-up attitude and not let go. I started looking stuff up. Not lawyers yet. I wanted something right away, something that would hit her, not get tied up in court papers. My searching led me to some interesting things. Really strong glues, stuff that dries fast, ways to make grass grow quick, natural sticky things. I needed something I could put down pretty easy, that would stick hard to metal, glass, and plastic, dry fast, and hopefully have something natural in it so it felt less like messing up her car and more like nature fighting back. That's how I got the idea for a living glue, a super sticky gel with seeds that grow really fast in it. I spent weeks in my garage messing around like some crazy scientist. I mixed different natural gooey things, from plants and seaweed, with a strong, safe glue I bought online. I added some plant food to make the seeds grow super fast. And I picked the seeds carefully. Tough little clover that sprouts quick and some really strong moss stuff. The idea was a gel that was watery enough to spray, would stick to anything like a clam on a rock, get hard as concrete in minutes, and then, in just a few hours, start showing green fuzz, sticking even harder with tiny roots. It was a living trap, made to stick and then literally start growing onto whatever it touched. I tested batches on old car doors I got from a junkyard, on metal pieces, on plastic. The stuff was amazing. It stuck incredibly hard, and the seeds would swell up and push out with a lot of energy. It looked like weird green snot, but it totally worked. I kept an eye on Karen's schedule. I knew she had a big fancy party coming up, some important meeting downtown that she had to dress up for and be on time for. I also knew that when she was running late, she'd always just pull onto my yard because it was the fastest way out. The night before the party, when it was totally dark, I got ready. I put my perfect goo mix into a big sprayer I changed a bit. I walked out to my yard, the 10-foot strip of grass that was legally mine, and I covered it. Not just the grass itself, but the air above it, making this shiny layer of the super sticky, seed-filled gel about a foot thick, just floating over the ground. It was a contact trap. Anything that landed in that layer would get instantly covered and stuck. I worked fast, quiet, the only sound the soft spraying noise. When I was done, the yard looked normal in the dark, but it was set. And then I waited. I woke up early, made my coffee, and sat on the porch swing, the morning sun feeling nice. I didn't have to wait long. Karen, just like I figured, was running late. I heard her big SUV coming. I heard her turn the corner. And then I heard the familiar sound of her angling her vehicle towards my yard. There was a short, quiet moment, maybe her tires hitting the goo, and then nothing, followed right away by that amazing, super loud scream. Which brings us back to how this all started. She was still yelling into her phone, saying all sorts of crazy, mad stuff, when I walked over calmly, coffee cup in my hand. "Got a problem there, Karen?" I asked, sounding calm, maybe a little too happy about it. She spun around, her eyes wide and wild with fury, her fancy hair a little messy from trying to open the door. "Problem? What are you even talking about? Look at this. What is this? My car is covered in this awful goo. It's stuck. I can't open it." "Oh, man," I said, acting like I was worried as I looked at the stuff covering her SUV, getting hard and turning green fast. "That looks not great. Looks like you parked on my property again, Karen. I did try to tell you lots of times." "Your property?" she screeched, dropping her phone call for a moment to glare at me, spitting a little. "What did you do? You messed up my car. You did this on purpose. This is against the law. I'm calling the cops. You just said you did it." "Go for it," I said again, taking a slow, careful sip of my coffee, really enjoying the moment. "But I didn't touch your car. Your car, where it wasn't supposed to be, hit some landscaping stuff on my property. And my property," I pointed at the thick green stuff now holding her expensive SUV to the ground, the tiny sprouts already showing, "seems to be reacting to having a big, uninvited car on it." She stared from the sticky, sprouting goo on her car to my calm, smiling face. She looked totally mad and confused. "Reacting? Property doesn't react. You put this stuff here. You ruined my car. You trapped it." "Did I ruin it?" I asked, tilting my head a bit, still acting innocent. "It's a special mix of natural stuff, plant food, and seeds that grow fast. Made, like I said, to help plants grow quick and stop cars from parking on private property when they shouldn't. Think of it like really strong grass seed spray." I smiled, a real big smile this time. It seems to be working pretty good at sticking really tight to whatever touches it. This didn't calm her down. Not one bit. It made it worse. Her face got even redder. She took a step towards me, pointing a shaking finger. "You think this is funny? You think you're so smart? You little nobody? You probably live in that tiny house your whole life, never done anything important, and this is your big moment? Messing with my car?" She spat the word "my" like it was sacred. "Do you have any idea what this car costs? What I cost? You can't afford the tires on this thing." I just stood there sipping my coffee. Let her yell. Let her show everyone exactly who she was. "Oh, I have an idea," I said, my voice still calm, which seemed to make her even more furious. "It's an expensive car, which is why it's a shame you parked it somewhere it doesn't belong, especially after I asked you nicely. And then I asked you with notes, and then I showed you the property line on a map. You chose this, Karen. This is on you." "Don't you dare tell me this is on me!" she screamed, her voice cracking. She stomped her foot again. "You set a trap! You vandalized my property! This is illegal! You're going to pay for this! You're going to pay for every single speck of this! This weed glue!" She tried to scrape some of the gel off the door with her fingernails, but it just stretched and stuck to her fingers, making her shriek again and wipe her hand frantically on her pants. "It's not weed glue," I corrected mildly. "It's a proprietary blend, and it's on my property. Your car is the trespasser here, Karen, not the other way around." "Trespasser? It's a car. It's not trespassing," she shrieked, completely missing the point. "You can't just trap people's cars because they park on your little patch of dirt. Who do you think you are?" "I'm the owner of this property," I stated simply. "And I'm tired of you ignoring that." Her phone call to 911 was a theatrical masterpiece of entitled indignation and barely coherent rage. "Yes, I need the police, immediately. At the entrance on Waldorf Lane. My car has been attacked." "The neighbor." "Yes, the neighbor across the street. He's assaulted my vehicle with some kind of living glue. It's stuck to the ground. I can't move it. He's admitting he did it. He's standing here laughing. This is vandalism. This is assault on my property. He's a menace." About 15 minutes later, a police car showed up with its lights flashing. A young cop, looked like he just started, got out, totally confused by everything. Then a more experienced officer, Sergeant Miller, got out too. He looked like he'd seen it all and was tired of it. Karen, all worked up and acting like a victim, ran over to them, a torrent of breathless accusations spilling out before they'd even fully exited the vehicle. "Sergeant! Oh, thank God! Look what he did! My car! It's ruined! It's stuck to the ground! He trapped it! He admitted it! He thinks it's funny! He's standing there, look at him, all smug!" She pointed at me, still on my porch, coffee in hand. Sergeant Miller, a guy who clearly liked dealing with real crimes more than weird neighbor fights, listened patiently. He looked at everything. The hyperventilating, furious woman, the calm man with the coffee cup standing a polite distance away, the large SUV firmly bonded to a patch of grass by thick, greening layer of viscous goo that was already showing distinct signs of plant life. He walked over to the car, his expression unreadable. He cautiously poked at the gel coating the door panel with a gloved finger. It was indeed incredibly sticky and had set up hard, like a flexible concrete. He tried the door handle. It resisted, stuck fast. He bent down, examining where the tires met the ground. The gel was like a solid green-tinged mass, anchoring the vehicle firmly. He straightened up, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. He turned to me, his expression neutral, professional. "Sir," he said, his tone even, "she says you did this, that you put this substance here specifically to trap her vehicle." "That's correct, Sergeant," I replied calmly, walking closer now, meeting his gaze directly. "I applied a proprietary blend of natural landscaping gel and fast-germinating seeds to my property line to encourage ground cover and prevent unauthorized parking on private property. The vehicle in question subsequently parked on that treated area." Sergeant Miller rubbed his chin again. "Your property, you say?" "Yep, Sergeant. The property line is marked real clear," I said, pointing to the little metal marker near the sidewalk, right on the line. She's parked on my property lots of times over the last few months, even though I asked her not to and left notes. I got tired of the trespassing. Karen shrieked again. She just couldn't stop herself. But you trapped my car. That's messing up my stuff. You ruined it. He made it stick on purpose. It's a crime. Sergeant Miller turned back to her, looking tired of everything. He'd seen this kind of angry, demanding person before. "Ma'am," he said, talking slow and clear, like he was explaining something super simple to a little kid. Vandalism, in the criminal code, typically involves the willful destruction or damage of property belonging to another person. Mr. My last name applied a substance to his own property. Your vehicle is currently located on his property. But it's stuck, Karen wailed, gesturing wildly at the SUV. It's damaged. This goo is damaging my car. It's got plants growing out of it. Is it damaged, or is it just very firmly adhered to a very effective landscaping product that is currently located on his private property? Sergeant Miller said, kind of talking to himself. He looked at the goo again. It's not like it's paint that requires a repaint, or acid that's eating the metal. It looks like really, really sticky dirt that's growing stuff. He straightened up and turned back to me. This gel, does it stay stuck forever? Nah, Sergeant, I said. It's made to break down naturally over time as the plants grow and the stuff wears away. Or, I added, trying to sound helpful and calm, you can take it off, but it sticks real hard like you can see. You'd probably need special cleaning stuff and it would take a lot of work, maybe professional cleaners to get it off without messing up the car's paint. Sergeant Miller sighed, a big, heavy sigh that sounded like he was carrying the weight of every crazy neighbor fight he'd ever had to deal with. He took out his notebook, but his pen hovered over the page, hesitant. He looked from the furious, sputtering Karen to the immovable SUV, to the sprouting goo, and finally to me, standing there calm. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, sounding firm but like he was giving up. "Look, I get that you're upset, and this is definitely weird, but this looks like a problem for lawyers, not cops. Mr. My last name put something on his own property, where the line says he can. Your car is on his property right now. There's nothing here that looks like a crime, like messing up property on purpose, that I can do anything about right now. It's not like he keyed your car, cut your tires, or set it on fire. He put down what appears to be a very aggressive plant-based adhesive on his own land." Karen wasn't having it. "So you're saying he can just glue my car to the ground and that's okay? That's not a crime?" she shrieked, her voice hitting a new level of hysterical. "He trapped me. He's holding my car hostage." "Ma'am, he's not holding it hostage," Sergeant Miller said patiently, though his patience was clearly wearing thin. "It's just stuck to his landscaping, on his property." "But it's my car," she wailed. "It's on his property, but it's my property that's stuck. He did this on purpose." "He did put the substance on his property on purpose, yes," Sergeant Miller confirmed. "But the criminal code doesn't cover purposefully applied sticky landscaping leading to vehicular adherence on private property." He almost cracked a smile, but caught himself. "It's a civil issue. You need to call a tow company, though they might have trouble, and you might need to sue him in civil court to recover the cost of removal or any damages." He stopped, then added, looking right at me, "Sir, I'd really suggest you maybe use less unusual ways to do your landscaping next time so you don't have more fights with your neighbors, like maybe a small fence or bigger signs." "Got it, Sergeant," I said, trying hard not to smile. I felt pretty good about how this was going. Sergeant Miller looked at the younger cop, a look that clearly said, "You are not going to believe the report I have to write about this. This is going to be the story everyone tells at the station." He told Karen he'd write a report about what happened, but said again that it wasn't a crime he could fix right now. He couldn't tell me to take the goo off, and he couldn't make me let a tow truck onto my property if I didn't want to, though I was fine with her getting a tow truck. I just wanted her to have to deal with it. His hands were tied by the simple fact that my actions, while perhaps passive-aggressive to an extreme degree, had taken place entirely within the bounds of my own property rights. Karen stood there just yelling but nothing coming out as the police car drove away, leaving her alone with her problem. Her Chia Pet SUV stuck solid to my yard by the super sticky growing goo. She tried the door handle again, uselessly. She kicked a tire because she was mad, and then jumped around holding her foot. The sun got higher, making the goo warm and helping the seeds grow. By noon, the bottom half of her expensive car had a clear green fuzz on it, looking like a giant stuck garden decoration. The smell, kind of like dirt and something sweet, floated in the air, the smell of nature and payback. She eventually got someone to give her a ride somewhere, leaving the car stuck there as a reminder of her stuck-up attitude and my weird but legal way of dealing with property lines. Getting it off, I knew, would cost her a lot of money, be a big mess, and make her feel pretty stupid. She'd need special cleaners, maybe even a crew that cleans up environmental stuff because of my special mix. And every single little sprout would be a tiny green thing reminding her that some lines, even if you pretend you don't see them, are really not okay to cross. I finished my coffee. The yelling had stopped a long time ago, replaced by her making angry, expensive calls to lawyers and cleaning companies. The living car trap did its job great. It wasn't breaking the law, it was just a really, really good way to do landscaping on your own property. And a perfect, really satisfying way to get back at Karen for ignoring my property line. She thought she could just park on my yard whenever she wanted, like the line wasn't even there. Now she was literally stuck because of what she did, glued to the very ground she thought wasn't worth her notice. And every time she looked at that car with plants growing on it, she'd have to deal with how stuck up she was.